Can you hear me? I can't hear him.
No.
Is your mic muted? Are you sure his mic is muted? No.
I don't think so. Graham and Cruzy.
Graham, can you hear us? You have Graham's number?
I do actually.
So I just can't hear. We just can't hear Cody. Can Cody hear us? Cody can hear us. We just can't hear Cody. All right, we're going in blindly here. All right.
Oh, Cruzy said we can't hear you. Or Cruzy can't hear us. Oh, yeah. Graham can't hear Cody as well.
Duke top overall seed to be expected after that Michigan loss.
Sienna with the 16.
Sienna's
Disrespect to Sienna a little bit.
Jerry McNamara is going to be feeling disrespected.
Disrespect.
Jerry McNamara going to be the new Syracuse head coach.
Ohio State on the 8 line. They played well down the stretch, though.
Ohio State, Graham was saying nobody wants to see Ohio State in that 8-9. I just don't know.
It's bad news for Duke.
I don't know. MTCU, who
that's a good matchup.
I'm very high on TCU. Right, David Punch has been phenomenal.
They can kind of beat anyone in the tournament. I feel like St. John's.
St. John's is the 5. I don't know. You know, that Big East really had a rough year.
I honestly expected them to be like a 4, so a little surprise. Northern Iowa, one of the better mid-majors.
Yeah, they had kind of a weird year. Belmont, of course, was the favorite in that league, lost in the first round. Not upset matchup. Kind of interesting. Kansas is a 4, right? We saw them kind of get worked, on Saturday or Friday night. They've struggled away from home as of late. Cal Baptist, one of the best mid-major players in this tournament. We saw him rattle off 9 straight to beat Utah Valley on Saturday night. For those of you sickos up till 2 a.m.
Louisville on the 6th line. I wouldn't necessarily want to see them in the tournament, but they've kind of struggled. They've been up and down. USF, they've been good all year. One of the better mid-majors.
But did lose their head coach, Tobin Anderson, left for Tennessee Tech.
Michigan State on that 3 line. This is shaping up to be a pretty good region. It's a pretty solid region.
Be curious who the 2 is here.
Don't really have a ton to say about North Dakota State, not gonna lie. I don't think I watched a minute of.
I mean, their tournament ended a while ago. I mean, it's been a bit since they played, but 27-7. They're one of the usual suspects out of their league, out of the Summit League.
Yeah, they do win the Summit a lot.
UCLA, of course, with their semifinal run to the Big Ten tournament.
Great Big Ten tournament.
Nice tournament. They got UCF, who's been one of the most Jekyll and Hyde teams of the season. Honestly, surprising they even made it here. We were sort of expecting a down year for them because we didn't really know what to expect from the roster. Complete roster turnover, and they really figured things out. They whooped BYU on the road.
UConn is the 2 in this region. It looks like.
Yeah, interesting. So this is what this is the Washington D.C. Sweet 16, Elite Eight. So we'll have
good region.
We'll have UConn. Assuming they make it with Duke, maybe in the Elite Eight in DC, could be a fun time.
UConn and St. John's too in the same region, which is a little interesting.
Yeah.
2 of the Big East. I mean, 2 of the best teams in the Big East, the 2 best teams. So that's going to be interesting if they end up playing each other. I mean, I still like Duke here in the Elite Eight, but we'll see.
Yeah. No, I mean it's an interesting bracket. I think like Duke, Ohio State, and TCU are both interesting teams in the 8-9 that have given good teams trouble all year. So maybe they can muck things up and give Duke a game in the second round.
That's going to be incredible.
Kansas, I think they should be able to handle business against Cal Baptist. But that Cal Baptist has some star power there. On the bottom half of the bracket, Michigan State is a 3. I think is very dangerous.
Yeah.
I think Michigan State's very live here. UConn's really struggled as of late. They've just been inconsistent throughout Big East play, despite a really good season. Of course, the Big East is just very weak. But I think they'll be fine at least to make it to the second round. If they see UCLA, though, I could see that game turning into kind of a rock fight and UCLA making it interesting. Michigan State, I personally like as the favorite to come out of the bottom half of that bracket. I know you're
a UConn guy, but I mean they have looked not so good as of late. So I mean I would like Michigan State. I think out of this bottom region. Good region though, all around. Yeah. Who do you like for an upset? And you got?
Not really sure. I mean, I think that
Cal Baptist is interesting.
I think Kansas is certainly on upset alert.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to overreact.
Northern Iowa, always interesting. St. John's, we've seen them slip to some probably below average talent, I feel like, earlier in the year. But they've looked good as of late. So it's interesting to.
I just think Ohio State or TCU is quite interesting in the second round.
That's gonna be a great matchup. I mean, obviously the 8-9 is usually the matchup to look for in the first round, but that in particular is a great 8-9 matchup.
And we've seen TCU and Ohio State both give great teams fits throughout the season.
Yeah.
Right. Like TCU beat
Florida.
Iowa State at home. They beat Florida at a neutral site in early season. They they lost to Kansas in kind of a game where they melted down in the second half. Really, in the last 5 minutes of the game, lost in overtime at Kansas. I believe that was like a 104-100 game.
Yeah. Super high scoring affair.
Really high scoring game. So TCU, we've seen obviously give teams trouble. They're very skilled.
And then Ohio State, they just have one of the best players in the tournament. Bruce Thornton.
Finally getting the March. Out of Atlanta.
Love to see it. Honestly.
Milton Academy.
Ohio State, they just have one of the best players in the tournament.
I think Cody's trying to get back here. Cody's camera's out, but we can hear him now.
Unfortunately, we only have 2 out of 3 of us in person here. I wish we could all be together, but yeah, we can hear Cody. Not sure if he wants to chime in. Can't see him, but.
Yeah, I mean that was certainly an interesting region. I think, like, obviously you have to jump out. You have to jump out and say Duke's the favorite at this point, just the way they played. But it's obviously going to depend a little bit on health, whether they can get back. Hopefully, Gongba can be back for the tournament. I think it's a wait and see thing with him. Caleb Foster, I would certainly say, is out at least through the first weekend. I would expect him not to play again this season, but it's looking like he certainly won't be available this year.
I would say, yeah,
Hopefully not.
yeah. That's true for all North Carolina fans at least. But I would say Duke's obviously the favorite, but really a wide open region, I think. Like Michigan State could take it. UConn, if they figure things out, obviously they're always good in March. I'm a little biased, but they're always good in March. St. John's has been on a good run. Kansas has shown that they can be pretty incredible at times. They got one of the best players in the nation, so it's going to be a fun region all around to watch.
It certainly should be. Looking forward to the second region. Here they are coming back for the second region here.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
We can hear
Yeah,
you.
Cody, welcome to the program.
There we go. Let's go. Cody's
normal mode there, but made it back on. Got a quick glimpse.
Cody's joined us. Here we go. We got Arizona as the second number 1 seed. Big. They were up big against Houston on Saturday, Big 12 championship. Suffered a little bit of a late scare from Houston, but ultimately were able to pull it out. Karchenkov with a couple of miracle shots late.
I would say one of the
scariest break for LIU.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Thought they had a shot at a 15, but
yeah, that is a tough break. I mean, what are you gonna do?
Are we shocked we haven't seen? Are we shocked we haven't seen Prairie View A&M yet?
They'll be on the 16 line playing in a first 4 game. You can almost guarantee that with the
Nova is a pretty good 8 seed. I think Utah State, though. I mean, I like Utah State in that matchup.
Yeah. Cody, what do we think about the Carson Templin versus Toby Awaka potential in the second round?
I mean, we might see Templin get taken to the woodshed here. I hope Akron can draw Wisconsin here. Is Wisconsin? No, didn't get them, but
there's Wisconsin. Yeah,
Wisconsin High Point should be a fun game at least.
Yeah, Wisconsin's gettable, right? I mean, they're kind of dependent on their 3-point shooting at times, and they're not super physical. So I think they're kind of a prime candidate to go down to a 12.
They are, but as good. Like Nick Boyd's been phenomenal recently. He's really through this Big Ten tournament played like one of the best players in the country.
Absolutely.
I know they fell late to the miracle run by Michigan late, the 11-3 run to end it. But Wisconsin's been really good. We got Arkansas in this region as well, which has potential to set up for a pretty thrilling Sweet 16 matchup. If Arkansas and Arizona could meet up.
Yeah, they gotta get Hawaii compete with them a little bit physically.
I would say they gotta get by Hawaii.
Isaac Johnson had a heck of a night last night.
Yeah,
for anybody that was up watching.
Yeah, I mean, if Hawaii's going to stick and drop coverage against ACUF, I mean, that might be
BYU second straight year.
So
on the 6th line,
second straight year on the 6th line, second straight year in that top right quadrant.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, with Wisconsin.
Do they get VCU
Wisconsin
again?
As well.
And look who you get right here.
Oh, geez. Texas is in the tournament, though.
So Texas.
I lost your audio. There we go.
It wasn't that high on.
Yeah, I don't hate the matchup for NC State there either. Or for Texas, sorry.
Miami, Missouri. That's going to be a fun first round matchup to be honest.
Missouri is a little bit safer.
A little bit of a home game though for Missouri. Dude.
Are we going to get the SEC bias and get Auburn in if Missouri's going to get on the 10 line here?
Good question. Purdue played themselves into a 2 seed.
Yeah, I mean,
that's probably what Sparty probably gets a 3 now.
No, Sparty
did get a 3. Yes, yeah. In the East.
I was scrambling. Was that on the first region? That was the first region.
Yeah.
I missed the bottom part. I was trying to figure out my audio here, but
Queens. Yeah. Purdue's got Queens.
Graham, he's saying he can only hear Cody now. That's interesting.
I couldn't hear you guys for a second, but it's back now, so I think it's
Might be a little choppy.
And Cody, who are we thinking the favorite here is? I mean, we got Arizona, obviously, out of this region.
yeah. I think it probably has to be Arizona. I mean, I would say Purdue's probably the softest 2 seed, which I think is fair, even though they just went out and beat Michigan. But ultimately, I think they caught some breaks. Like I'm not super high on Gonzaga as a 3. BYU's been sliding as a 6. Like probably
I
not a
think
6
it's
seed quality at this point in time. So
kind of a soft region.
it is.
This is a softer region than the East region.
I mean, if we're being honest, like,
Thank you.
I mean, I know that like Texas obviously ended the season struggling, but their matchup to maybe win a couple of games isn't horrific. It's not a bad setup with NC State. NC State's obviously got a weaker front court, smaller front court. BYU's been struggling, so
Right.
I think it's an interesting bottom half with Gonzaga's injuries. Could set up for maybe like a Purdue versus whoever comes out of that junk.
I have to
3-6.
I have to agree with Graham here. I'm not a fan of that region all around.
No,
I do agree.
It feels like a soft region. I think we're going to get
Soft
the good
region.
ones are going to be coming up here we're going to get much better, stronger
That
matchups.
first region was kind of a banger, to be honest. That was they came out hot with that first region.
That region really just made Arizona like a Final Four.
Yeah, they're destined for the Final Four.
If they weren't already, now it's
and they deserve
it.
it. I mean,
stronger now.
They played so well all season. They've been the best team, the most consistent team, in my opinion.
Yeah. So I mean, through the first 2 regions, right? I mean, I think that bottom half is interesting. On the East region with Michigan State as the 3. The 2 was who?
UConn.
UConn, obviously, like UConn has shown certainly some weaknesses as of late. Yesterday really struggled against St. John's, which is funny, like a 50-point turnaround from their game against St. John's just a couple of weeks ago.
That's a good point. I kind of forgot about that 72-40 game. Luckily for St. John's fans out there, I did forget about it. But quite a turn. Yeah, in the Big East Championship. St. John's looks well in control.
Yeah, we got Graham in here saying UNC Nebraska 6-3 will feed families.
I have to agree. Yeah.
The rink mass.
Are they going to be where are they? They haven't come out yet, right?
They have not. No, I see them as probably on the 3 line, maybe the 4.
What's my
with how they've been playing lately? I feel like they might end up getting a 4. Like they've played like closer to an average Big Ten team the last. So I wouldn't be shocked. It just kind of depends on if the committee is going to factor in Carolina or factor in the injury for Caleb Wilson. If maybe I don't think they'd move them back, but
sure, I think. If UNC can beat the 11, well, Graham, fortunately, no Ole Miss this year. I know Ole Miss was flirting with it late yesterday, almost taking down Arkansas. Arkansas really wanted to hand it to them, but I think you guys will be all right against an 11 this year. We'll see who it ends up being, but
I think that Northern Iowa matchup against St. John's is kind of interesting. Like with UNI's ability to settle the pace, like they deny transition at an elite level. And St. John's, we've seen how uncomfortable they've been in the half court at times, and Northern Iowa can kind of keep the Johnnies off the glass. I think it's honestly a pretty good matchup if UNI can score the ball a little bit. Their offense sputtered throughout Valley play, but I honestly don't really hate that one for like a mid-major if you're kind of looking for an early upset. I don't think that's a terrible look.
I mean, I guess looking at the bubble now through half the bracket, where do we kind of stand bubble wise? Like we obviously have Texas, NC State, last of 2 of the last 4 in. I mean, we have Auburn still out there. We have Oklahoma out there. We have Santa Clara out there. We have who else? SMU's floating out there. Is SMU on the outside looking in? Obviously, we saw how the committee really viewed the ACC with that NC State pick.
Right. Because they were supposed to be on the 10 line, like projected bracket matrix had far more 10s than they had 11s, and they ended up being one of the last 4 teams in. So,
Cruzy says High Point Hawaii spread.
He wants upsets there.
I guess. I mean, we know he wants. It's too bad Florida State couldn't make it this year.
They played like one down the stretch.
They did. They probably should have. I mean, they're probably a top team, and that probably should have made it.
Man, UMBC picking up a first 4 game is doesn't really do them justice, I don't think.
The disrespect to the America East.
Who was it? CJ Armstrong yesterday, 9 for 11, 32 points in that final. Vermont was up 3, I think, at the under 8 timeout, and UMBC went nuclear late. Georgia again finding themselves in that 8-9 in the same spot of the bracket they were in last year. This time, they have St. Louis, not Gonzaga.
Yeah, and St. Louis kind of hung on. I was a little worried about them. Like, I mean, honestly, falling to the 10 line wouldn't have been the worst thing in the world, but I was starting to kind of worry about them a bit. And Texas Tech here on the 5 line. They're not really factoring in the Toppin injury a ton. They're kind of sitting on the 5 line in bracket projections for the most part. And then they're going to get a tough matchup here with Akron. So Akron's dangerous on the offensive end. If they're not overwhelmed from a physical standpoint, I think they can beat anyone. And like the 2 matchups that I had kind of picked out were Texas Tech or Wisconsin. Like, JT Toppin would have probably taken Akron to the woodshed, but now they don't. Now they're going to have to deal with like Lawan Watson, Bamgoy up front. So I think they have a shot on the 12 line there.
They do. It's probably going to be one of those popular 12-5 upset picks.
Probably, yes.
I agree. It's a shame that Toppin went down because this Texas Tech team would be so scary with Toppin.
For sure. They'd be sitting on the 3 or 4 line.
Yeah.
Bama and Hofstra.
Interesting.
This isn't terrible for Hofstra. Obviously they have to limit the 3 ball, but Edmead and Cruz can probably operate and pick and roll at a high level against the drop. And
who do we think Aaron Estrada is rooting for in this game?
That's a very good point. And here's the one we've been waiting for right here. With
Miami, Ohio. They made it.
They're going to have to prove it, which I kind of respect that, going to have to go out there and earn it to earn their way into the tournament just because they hadn't played like a daunting schedule. I think everyone knows that at this point, but should be a fun game with a ton of offense at least.
Yeah, no, it should. And obviously this is a heartbreak for Auburn, but let's be honest. Auburn didn't really belong.
No, probably not. I think America kind of wins with that one.
Yeah, no, I mean, Stephen Pearl, they have some moves to make, I think, this offseason to get better. We'll see. But Virginia, there is the 3. They have the interior presence, I think, to match up with Tennessee. I like Virginia there as a strong Sweet 16 candidate, in my opinion. Initial reactions.
For Tennessee either, if they're able to draw Miami, Ohio, if they end up winning that game, they could also brutalize SMU on the glass, and it would be a really good.
There's the Santa Clara
in Kentucky. A little bit of a tough draw for Kentucky, in my opinion. I think Santa Clara is a really good team. They're a scary team, Aaron Myers.
Here we go. Iowa State is a 2.
Yeah, I like that. They've been red hot.
Who are they about to turn over 40 times? It's like Tennessee State. Yeah, that pressure is just so hard to deal with.
Tennessee
And
State,
like
yeah.
that one game setting, and then on the quick turnaround is where Iowa State gets even harder to face. And I'm not sure I love the handlers of Kentucky if they end up matching up in the second round to handle the Iowa State pressure. So kind of like the draw that they got in the first weekend.
Yeah. So what does this leave us? It leaves us with Houston and Florida as the 1-2 on the other side. That Sweet 16 Elite Eight going to be played in Houston.
Yeah, I'm already kind of liking Houston there. I think kind of regardless of where it's being played, I think I like Houston.
We're setting up for a potential Houston Duke rematch in the Final Four. We're potentially setting up for a Florida Duke rematch from earlier this year at Cameron Indoor, and that game went right down to the wire. I think a really going to be an interesting bracket. Who else is left? Nebraska figures to be the 3 there.
Illinois.
I think they're going to be on the 4. Nebraska's going to be a 4 here, I think, right?
I think so too. I think
Illinois going to be a 3.
Yeah, Illinois is going to be the 3. Nebraska's going to be the 4. Man, they're going to put Vandy at a 5.
I guess so. This last race
is kind of surprising after beating Florida in the semis.
Or do they
maybe them into a 4?
Is there any way
Nebraska might be a 5?
Do they view Nebraska a little bit worse?
I don't know.
That wouldn't shock me, but they've been like a consensus 3. And they're not consensus. It's pretty split between 3s and 4s on Bracket Matrix, like just before the selection show. So I don't think they can move them back to a 5. I just don't see how that's likely. But Vanderbilt's basically a 4 across the board with some projected 3s. So Vandy has a 5 is interesting, but
also potential for Vandy, Nebraska 4-5 round of 32. You can book your Tyler Nickel over 3-point attempts, 3-point ladder. Get that chalked up.
I'll have that one lined up myself.
You kind of have to.
For sure. Nebraska, they're not safe in the first round. I think they're drawing who are they getting here? They're getting McNeese?
They might get McNeese, yeah. If they're on the 5 line, I think they get McNeese.
Well, McNeese will be the 12. McNeese should be the 12, right?
So it just depends if they're 4 or 5.
They're going to get Troy. Is Troy gone? Troy's not off, right?
No, Troy would be the 13.
They're going to get Troy.
Most likely.
So we're gonna see what if Florida. They're gonna get a play in between Prairie View and somebody.
Yeah, it's pretty irrelevant, but yeah, probably Prairie View and somebody.
Lehigh is Lehigh. I believe will be the 16th.
You've really got to feel for those guys doing the film for Florida. They're going to be doing 2 games.
We may or may not know one of them.
Yeah. We got Cody. We got Graham in the comments. Thoughts on UNC Illinois matchup potentially?
I'll just be honest. I don't love it for Carolina. If you're going to play drop and keep Wagler, I think that's kind of cookies when you have the top floor spacing as well to drag Vesar away from the rim, and then at that point these Illinois big wings and kind of pick their matchups. Like Stojakovic is a guy that can get downhill against some of these Carolina wings. I kind of worry about that on the surface. But then again, Illinois' defense hasn't been very good. You look at, obviously Wisconsin or with Boyd and Blackwell, they're just a dominant pick and roll duo. But that's something that Illinois has really struggled with in like big time matchups, is just containing high level guards. And I think Seth Trimble can kind of attack the paint and maybe collapse this Illinois defense whenever he wants to, and he can find shooters from there. But obviously Carolina's going to need to knock it down at a higher clip than they have. Over the course of the season, they've been, a bit underwhelming shooting wise, but yeah, I guess on the surface, I don't love the matchup from the broad scheme of things for North Carolina.
Yeah. Just got a text. Region of death incoming. On this.
Yeah. I think it's going to be possibly the best region. Yeah.
Not wrong.
The first region, the East region, was extremely strong to start, but yeah, I think this might beat it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Florida, of course, draws a 1. Yeah.
Florida gets a 1. I think the writing has kind of been on the wall for this for several weeks, looking at their SEC schedule,
Yeah.
and the way they dominated through SEC play. Really, since that Vanderbilt win on the road, that was a huge win. I think it was 98-94. They really just kind of rattled off a bunch. But here we go. Prairie View, A&M, and Lehigh.
Yeah.
Lehigh last time they were in the tournament was upset over Duke, 15-2.
15-2 with McCollum.
Mhm.
Clemson with the A line in there.
Get ready to get put in the meat grinder for both teams. Honestly, that game might be played at 50.
Yeah, that's gonna be
possessions. I mean, yeah. So I kind of Clemson.
First to 50.
For reaction.
Man, Vanderbilt on a 5 is just.
Yeah, Vandy got the 5. I'm shocked, honestly.
Yeah, I don't love that. They're gonna draw McNeese. Yeah, you can line up Tyler Nickel threes there too. To be honest with you, McNeese gives up.
Maybe we just rattle them off. Just rattle them off. Tyler Nickel over 3s first and second round.
Yeah, I like Vandy to get through this first portion, not with ease because it's never easy to win a tournament game, but at first glance, I like the matchup kind of for their first 2 rounds. I mean, unless the Troy Trojans can play up like they did earlier in the year against San Diego State and USC.
Thomas Dowd
and Victor Valdez.
Thomas Dowd. And see, are we getting VCU here as an 11, or is VCU getting a 10?
VCU.
Screw you, Cruzy. Yeah.
Mainly leg. I like that.
Oh, Vandals. Nice matchup in the first round. Then what do we think, Cody? We got Fran McCaffrey. First time in the tournament with his new squad at Penn. TJ Power, former Duke highly touted recruit with what, 42 today?
Yeah, 42 or 44. With 2 threes in the last 25 seconds, I believe.
Yeah, we're getting text right now. Houston A&M second round. That'd be an interesting matchup.
It's too bad they're probably gonna lose St. Mary's.
It's too bad that Wade Taylor's not there anymore.
Yeah, that too. Yeah,
I kind of worry about that matchup for St. Mary's. I don't know. Can they handle 94-foot pressure for 40 minutes? I'm not 100% sold on that. They dominate the rim.
I'll give my answer in short. No, they can't.
Yeah. But, St. Mary's can smoke them on the glass, too, so I guess we'll.
Yeah, it's kind of clashing of styles.
First glance.
Yeah, clashing. It's interesting to see. SEC, once again, having the most teams in the tournament.
First 4-0. Tough break for Oklahoma. Obviously they beat Arkansas there. Miami, Ohio would have been sent back in.
Yeah. Oklahoma would have been in. Auburn, kind of happy, I think, to not see them in the tournament.
I'm happy.
I'm sorry to Auburn fans out there. I just think 17 and 16 in the tournament is kind of a bad look. So San Diego State's a little surprising to me.
It's not surprising because it just wasn't a great year overall for the Mountain West.
Yeah.
They didn't do enough out of conference, but it is too bad for Brian Dutcher not seeing him in the tournament. It would have been good.
I agree, Cruzy. I think Miami, Ohio had to be in, even though they lost in the quarterfinal. Going 31-0 speaks for itself. I think they deserved it. They should be in. I agree.
Yeah, we might have missed out on Boopy Miller then if Miami, Ohio was going to be in, because SMU there they showed Texas was second to was the second team in the last 4 in. NC State first, and then SMU third. So maybe we would have seen SMU. SMU's an interesting team, right? They have plenty of star power shot making. We've seen them, make shots with the best of them with Dron Pierre, Boopy Miller, Corey Washington. They've got some interior presence as well with Igatoglu, and I'm drawing a blank at the moment with the other big's name right now. Yeah. So they're as skilled as many teams. Obviously, they just have their fair share of issues. Like defensively, they have some issues. But if they're hot, they can certainly make shots with the best of them.
For sure, yeah. The game against Miami, Ohio is going to be fireworks probably, and I think Miami, Ohio can kind of space them out a little bit, handle their pressure, and should be able to knock down threes at a pretty high clip against that aggressive defense. But it's just a matter of how is Miami, Ohio going to defend any team on the interior with a pulse, and because they haven't really seen that all that much. They saw Akron, who's a really, really good offense, but they don't have that same interior presence that some of these top tier, well, I guess not even top tier, but any of these power leagues have. So it'll be interesting to see how they play up. It'll be probably the most watched first 4 game. I don't know if that's a fair thing to say, because I think people are going to be very intrigued to see how legit Miami, Ohio is. They're going to see that 31-1 record, next to their name. They're going to be like, hey, is this team legit? Like, we're going to find out. Did they get the Tuesday or Wednesday game?
I'm not too sure.
I'm pulling it up right now. I'm trying to see what we've got.
But I will say that Texas NC State game is also going to be very highly watched. I think that's going to be great.
All right, so we got Tuesday night Howard UMBC, and then NC State Texas. NC State opening -1.5 in that game. Over under set at 163.5. Of course, we saw that game be a shootout out in Maui. Obviously, Maui rims are a bit different.
I forgot they played. That game was like.
And Wednesday, we've got the SMU Miami Ohio game. That game looking like it's going to be the second game. SMU opening -7.5. Total at 167.5.
It's gonna be a fun matchup. I see it being a closer game than what
Yeah.
that spread is. I see it being closer than 7.5. But I mean, SMU obviously the favorite.
Yeah. Now,
I gotta agree with that.
as we kind of wrap things up here, initial bracket reactions. Looking at the schedule for Thursday, Friday. Game times don't appear to be out yet. Yeah, Graham says
ESPN.
ESPN appears to be showing lines as of right now. We've got some interesting lines out, like Vanderbilt's at 10.5 against McNeese. UNC minus 1.5 against VCU. I know that's interesting for UNC fans here. St. Mary's opening minus 3.5 against Texas A&M. That total set very low, 1-4 or low compared to probably A&M lines. 148.5. Georgia St. Louis, maybe the highest line over under at least of the first round, 171.5.
Those two.
So
Yeah.
Up and down.
Yeah, it's gonna be track meet.
yeah. Looking at Friday, looks like the biggest line, Arizona minus 29.5 against LIU. That total set at 150.5. Any other interesting lines for Friday? Yeah, Kentucky's minus 2.5 against Santa Clara. Miami minus 2.5 against Missouri.
I really like Missouri in that matchup. Right off the bat.
Cody, to bring back your point of the total in the Iowa Clemson game. Iowa minus 1.5, over under 130.5.
Yeah,
Utah State.
If that will even went under, like that's probably gonna be played in the 50s.
Yeah. Utah State is a little interesting that they're the favorite against Villanova. I just think Villanova has looked not that great as of late, to be honest. So I think Utah State maybe the better team, even though they're on the 9 line. But it's definitely interesting.
Yeah, Akron, are they live? -9, or they're +9.5 against Texas Tech in that first round game.
Just a matter of how they defend. I think that's all it really comes down to. I think they can have a ton of success against the softer front line in Texas Tech. I mean, Bama was a really good rim protector, but I think they can find ways to space him out a little bit. So
yeah.
There's some.
And you can't look past Christian Anderson.
No, definitely not. I don't know how they contain him either. So will be an interesting.
Such a good player.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that TCU Ohio State game. Obviously TCU has been able to muck some games up. We saw them really be physical with Iowa State earlier in the year, make things really difficult on them. That line opened Ohio State minus 2.5. Ohio State's front court presence is a little bit sketchy. To say the least, it's been a little bit better as of late. But TCU, good comment, Soul. TCU, I think with David Punch, up front, he's been phenomenal through this Big 12 tournament. I think he could certainly pose some problems there. Along with Xavier Edmonds as well. I think that could give Ohio State some real trouble. But then, of course, you got the backcourt of Ohio State with Bruce Thornton and John Mobley. Not the best defensive backcourt for TCU, with Brock Harding, Jaden Pierre. So it'll be interesting to see how that matchup sort of plays out. Teams countering off each other's strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah, that's probably the matchup I think I'm most excited for. I mean, there's a ton of good first round matchups. There always is. There's 12-5, even McNeese and Vanderbilt that we're looking at right now. That's gonna be a great matchup as well. I mean, there's really not a lot of bad matchups, especially this region of the bracket. Cody, I want to hear your thoughts. What's your top matchup you're looking forward to in the first round?
Top matchup. I always kind of look at the 12-5s. I've mentioned them a few times. I'm always intrigued by some of the top mid majors in the country, seeing if they can play up against good Power 5 teams. Obviously not like the tops in the nation. Like I mentioned, Northern Iowa, St. John's. I'm a Missouri Valley guy too, and I think they have a real shot there. Like I mentioned earlier, Hawaii, Arkansas could be somewhat interesting. I don't know if High Point can really hang with Wisconsin or not. I don't think they defend at a high enough level. Besides that, I mean, I love Troy as well. Like, Troy can, they could be live, not going to be overwhelmed physically by Nebraska. And that's kind of the theme with these 4 and 5 line teams, I guess, outside of like St. John's and maybe Kansas. Like, these 4s and 5s aren't overwhelming from a physicality and athleticism standpoint. So I think that's really the number one thing that I look at when I'm trying to target if a mid-major can pull off an upset is, if they're going to get overwhelmed up front and just athletically teams can get up and down wherever they want against you, I think that makes it much tougher. But these 4s and 5s aren't all that daunting to me.
Yeah.
No, I mean, a team I'm looking at, I watched Hawaii last night. I've watched them a couple times throughout the year. That line's at 15.5. I think they have some shot making. They have some bigs to kind of, that can take it off the bounce as well. I think they're certainly an interesting matchup against Arkansas. I'm not saying necessarily that they're live to win that game, but I think that 15.5 number feels a bit big based on what I've seen from Hawaii this season, and typically what the Big West gets for respect. I think 15.5 is a pretty big number for that league.
Yeah, I got to agree. I mean, the Stars come out in March, and obviously Acuff is one of the best players in the nation. So I wonder if that's inflating the line a little bit. But I'm a little surprised it's 15.5, just because the Big West seems like it's always one of the better mid majors in the country, and Hawaii was one of the top teams in that conference. So it's a little surprising, but
yeah. Cody, any other thoughts to add? Obviously, for anyone that watches this, we're going to be coming out with plenty of March Madness content. We're going to have game previews for all the first round games. We're going to have game previews for all the games that follow those. We're going to have plenty of other content, Cinderellas to look out for, top seeds on Upset Watch. We'll have like a player spotlight type thing. We'll have plenty of content to come out with. But Cody, any other thoughts to add before we sign off this live for bracket reactions?
Yeah, not a ton for me. I'm just super excited that we finally have a bracket release that we can look at. You can make as many brackets as you want. Not really a guy that makes 15 to 20 brackets anymore like I used to as a kid. Like, I usually only make a couple now. But like you said, we're gonna have a ton of content coming out. We're gonna dive into all these matchups. I'm gonna decipher all these matchups tonight. I'll probably be up till about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning trying to figure all this stuff out. What I'm doing from a bracket standpoint, what I'm doing from a betting standpoint for myself as well. So I'm pretty excited for this and ready to hammer out some content. We'll talk about all these teams in far more depth than what we've talked about so far. So yeah, I'm excited for the content. It's going to be a gauntlet for us, but it's going to be, if you want an idea of, how to put your bracket together, and if you're just having a tough time with an individual matchup and you want to, we're going to have a video there for you to, to help you, kind of lean in one direction or the other. So you don't have to go through and watch all of them. I mean, you can if you want, and that would be, it'd be good for us, be good for you as well. So, but I'm excited to get this thing going.
Yeah. Before we wrap things up, Cruzy, NIT live stream's probably out. I know Virginia Tech did decline. They're not going to play in the NIT. Maybe they're going to go play in the tournament out in Vegas and make some money there. But who knows? Anyway, we'll wrap things up here. Thank you guys for tuning in.
One more thing.
Cody, one more thing.
real quick, Cody.
We had a request for betting. So I'll have to get it. I'll try to get some best bets together. We can talk about them. I'll mention like maybe a few points about which side I lean on the game previews as well. But we'll I'll make sure to drop a betting preview video from a future standpoint, from a game to game standpoint, if that's what the people want to. So yeah, we'll get that.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. So a lot of content to come. Obviously, going to be a busy week for us, busy week for you guys, all putting stuff together for March Madness. But my opinion, one of the best weeks of the year from a sports perspective.
Absolutely.
So looking forward to it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thanking anybody who's listening to this, and be on the lookout for plenty of other March Madness content.
Absolutely. We appreciate it. Thank you guys for all the support.